Hi, and welcome to the first episode of WebTrip. My name is Paola. I've been working in the tech industry for 10 years. And today I'm taking my interviewer cap to interview Manfred Touron, VP of Engineering of Gnoland, who is going to present us his company and his life. The first question of this interview, obviously, is could you please introduce yourself?
I'm Manfred Touron, French, you can hear my accent. I'm French engineer, working in the internet in the industry for more than 10 years, usually in the infrastructure part by creating data centers, servers, hardware, and trying to automate those infrastructure stuff so that people can run a website or whatever. I then switched to the world of peer-to-peer and cryptography with Bertie, which is a messenger that allows messenger and protocol, allowing you to discuss without relying on any internet infrastructure, so you can connect to your peers directly. And after this, I discovered blockchains, which were basically the opposite of Bertie, but using the same technology. Before, I was using peer-to-peer and cryptography to make anti-censorship networking, anti-censorship communication. And now I use peer-to-peer and cryptography, the same technology, to actually try to have a consensus. So my previous word was to hide you for privacy reasons. My new mission is to have a single source of truth.
So I can tell that you have a pretty impressive background and you did a lot of things in your career. So nowadays, what is your job? And if you had to explain your job to a kid, how would you explain it?
My job is to create a single big virtual computer where people can install applications, and you can use application. You can play games. You can communicate with your family. So it's basically what you do with your computer, with your phone, with your games, but on a single shared computer for the whole planet.
So could you quickly present a project that you are currently working on and that you are passionate about?
Gnoland is a new smart contracting platform. So it's in the world of blockchains, maybe not the world people are thinking when they think about blockchain. It's not the world of investment, of finance, of NFTs, etc. We will have this stuff, but what we try to do is to create what's missing on blockchain, and what's missing on blockchain is basically what you have outside of blockchains. And my goal is to basically think about Ethereum, what Ethereum is doing for money and NFTs and other basic features. I want to make the same thing, but for social coordination. I want to make the same thing to compete with social networks, to compete with truth discovery like Wikipedia, to compete with democracy, to compete with news, especially fake news. So yeah, social coordination is definitely a topic that deserves being decentralized. And right now, decentralization is mostly about finance and investment. So yeah, Gnoland is basically a competitor of Ethereum, but our secret sauce is to create a new language. And where Ethereum was built by expert people learning a dedicated language and limited language, we want to allow developers to write applications without being an expert. For sure, we love expert people, but we want to open the doors to writing DApp, decentralized application, for millions of developers. So we want to make it easier and more powerful. When I say more powerful, if you think about the computer history, 50 years ago you had only assembly. Assembly is what the machine can basically understand to execute your program. So only a bunch of experts were able to write applications, and the applications were limited. After assembly, a new language was released, which was the C language. So in general, the first language you learn today. And once it happened, both you had more developers because it was less elitist, plus the applications were better. And I believe we're doing the C, or maybe even better than C, while Ethereum is just the assembly. Ethereum allows a bunch of developers to create limited applications. We try to create the next language, allowing more developers to build better apps.
So in a way, you are democratizing Web3, making the language more accessible to a wider audience of developers.
Yes, but that's not the target. This is the consequence of the language, and this is a required step for the target. The target is to compete with the internet on commons we need for the humanity. So social networks to just have some meaning in your life, source discovery just to stop being manipulated, democracy if you can't believe your government or your club or whatever anymore. We want to have more developers, not to just have more developers because we're not telling them anything. We want more developers because, in our opinion, that's the way to create the new generation of applications. We create a new generation of language so that people can create a new generation of applications, so that finally we have a Web3 that we can use for more than just finance.
Thank you, Manfred. That's a beautiful quest. And my next question is little bit less technical. Sorry, it's mostly what do you like about your job and what makes it vibrant to you?
So we're creating a new language, which is one of the most exciting experiences you can expect if you are passionate by computer science. That's not the only one, but for instance, I used to creating some hardware stuff, and it was also exciting. Creating a language is super exciting. Creating a language when you know what will be the future, because we're not creating a new language, we are adapting a non-Web3 language, a non-blockchain language into blockchain. So we need to address some challenges, but we know that the language is already loved by people. So yeah, we have the excitement of the challenge. We have so many challenges, but also we know where we are going, and we know that once it's done, we will want to use the product. It's not just an idea. We are adapting something we want, and we know we want it to be the main users. We want to dog food. We want to use the language by yourself. And so the first part is about excitement. The second part is about the means we are putting on making this project successful. It means I have two things to say. One of them is because we are not taking shortcuts. We want not only to create the language, but to create the things around. A thing around the language that we believe is mandatory for the project is to also revisit how blockchains are secured. Today, blockchains are secured with money. You can buy a lot of GPUs and mine Bitcoins. You can just have a lot of money and try to take ownership of blockchains using the proof of stake or delegated proof of stake technologies, because the richer you are, the more power you have. And if at some point your power is bigger than a threshold, you can start making bad transactions. We put means by not taking the shortcut of just releasing the language. We want to release the language alongside a new consensus, which is driven not by money, but by contributors, by effort, by knowledge, by alignment, by proof of being there for years. And we want to give power to the contributor. By doing this, we actually remove most of the problem with money, and we also make it really harder to gain too many power. If you want to gain power, you need to spend your life contributing, and even here, you will never have more than a threshold. We put means by not taking shortcut and actually releasing maybe later, because we want the language, the consensus, and a bunch of apps that we believe will make the difference, because a bunch of apps that we want from day one are the ones allowing the chain to be completely owned by the chain and by the contributors themselves. Other blockchains are mostly based on what happens on GitHub. We want the chain to be owner to decide about how it will change by itself. So the first thing. And the second and last mean, I think where we are lucky is because we just hire the best developers. And in my position, hiring with people, I just, it's not even respect. I just admire them. I want to work with them every day. And yeah, we put a lot of effort into having the best around us and having bounties and other mechanisms to allow the community to collaborate. So my team, direct one and virtual team, is just awesome.
Thanks, Manfred, for that. So proof of contribution instead of proof of stake, very interesting. And I think it can tell a lot about your vision of the world. If you had to synthesize your vision of the world, what will it be?
I am in a good country. I'm not in war. My government is maybe manipulating me, but not that much from what I know. I have the good setup so that fake news and everything bad is not touching me directly. My biggest concern today is for people not living in my country with my conditions, or people around me that are not tech savvy and not able to protect themselves. So thinking about my family, thinking about friends. But on my side, I feel good about today, except when I'm the spectator of what can happen for other people. So tomorrow, I really believe we will have two main enemies. One will be AI and people owning the biggest AIs. The second enemy is, I don't have a name for them, but basically powerful organizations. It can be a government, it can be a dictator, it can be I don't know, a big company. Thinking about BlackRock, for instance, it's not a government, but it's maybe more powerful and more evil than a government. I think we need social coordination tools. We need ways to find the truth. We need ways to make justice that we can trust. We need to make democracy that we can trust, both in terms of voting, electing, but also in terms of taking decisions and listening to the people. And when I say we need, it's not we need in terms of we need it tomorrow. Actually, I think we need it tomorrow for some countries, the ones with the biggest issues, and maybe one day for the others. And that's why I think we are not creating a project to replace the internet. I'm pretty sure we'll have both collaborating at some point. Maybe we'll have the low quality, high quantity internet, the Web 2, and the trustable, high quality, low quantity internet, the Web 3.1. Not sure. But I really believe what we're building is an alternative, and the alternative is about choice. You can choose to be only Web 3 because you are enthusiastic, because you need it, you're in a bad country, and you depend on Web 3. You can be dependent on Web 3 today, or just a Web 3 enthusiast. You can also just choose to not touch Web 3 because it's about finance and blah, blah, blah. Or you can, third case is about mixing. You have some Web 2, some Web 3. So I think we are building not something to replace, not a revolution, but more an exodus. And it's a slow exodus. It's not everyone needs to be in the same group on the same day. It's an exodus. The target is here. It's documented. Feel free to join today. Feel free to join in 10 years. Feel free to join slowly. So yeah, that's how I see the thing. A new internet on the side, available for anyone, and up to people to start going in that direction completely, partially, or not at all. Okay. And at some point, if your country, which was good, become a problem, the infrastructure will be ready. If you look at what happened in Ukraine, they start using Bitcoin. Family mothers start to use Bitcoin because they weren't able to just withdraw their money in bank. So at some point, your country, which was good before, becomes something bad. And if you don't have the infrastructure, it's a problem. If the infrastructure is there, maybe you are skeptical, but no, the alternative is easy to start using.
So I really love this vision of like Web3 being about, not Web3, but navigating between different tiers depending on the socio-political situation you are in, and this movement and this exodus that you can take. Because my next question was actually about how would you imagine the world of Web3 being in the upcoming years? But I think you kind of answered that, being it will depend on where you are and what do you need actually. Yeah. But my next question will then be, what will be your utopia and what will be your dystopia when we talk about these technologies? And of course, depending on where you are in the world, but what will it be for you?
Web3 is an ecosystem. I want to interconnect my project with the rest of Web3, but I don't think I depend on it. And actually, maybe I should not say this, but I really believe we are not at the same Web3 as most people are today. I really believe we are in the next generation. We are not competing. We are not creating a new thing. We are creating a new era, in my opinion, that will make most, I don't know for most people, but for expert people comparing, you can compare whatever. You can compare the decentralization level. You can compare how much it's easy to build a business on it, how much it's easy to whatever. I think we're creating a new era, making the current era looking like the past, like deprecated. Maybe it will take time, maybe it will take 10 years, but when you will compare how much it costs, how much you risk being a developer, how much you risk being a user in the previous world, and we have our version, which is definitely about extreme transparency, extreme trust, explicitness for everything. When you will try it, you will feel really bad or unsafe when you come back to the previous world. I want to interconnect with Web3 because it's one of the good points of Web3. It's about interconnecting, being able to exchange, etc. But I'm not considering the quant Web3 to be something where people can make mass adoption. I believe our solution is definitely not good in terms of UX yet. It will take years to have a good UX for non-tech savvy people. But I'm skeptical about the current blockchain ecosystem to be something for more than investors and enthusiasts. The thing we are building can at some point become really transparent and replace what people want. And if you look at the 7 or 8 billion people in the world, they are not all investors and they are not all tech savvy. So it's not even because it's difficult. It's because I just don't know what my family members will do on Ethereum, for instance. On GNO, we are building things that can replace their things that they are using. For instance, if you look at the application of on a mobile phone of someone who is non-tech savvy, they have commodity apps, they have apps to discuss, they have apps to read news, etc. And this is exactly what we are building. We are building apps that can be on standard people, mobile phone or computer, or etc. I don't know about the rest of the technologies. Actually, I build without looking on the site that much. I make everything I can to make my project compatible with other projects in terms of interoperability. We can connect them, but I don't want to depend on anything else. And my goal is not to try to prevent AI or whatever. It's to just be as fast as I can on my project, make it something that people can, just use and try to maybe improve. And that's my mission. My mission is definitely not to look and be slowed down by other projects. We have a vision that we believe, and it's definitely not the same. It's not you cannot compare. Yeah. We need to finish it so the new era exists.
If you were, I understand, and if you're only talking about your project and your field of expertise, what will then be your dystopia?
Several things can go wrong, and so when you build blockchain, your job is not developer, your job is security. Blockchain is about security. You make systems where the security is high. What you sell is security. Decentralization actually is about security for end users. So several things can go wrong. And what we made is to make sure that we can fail everything. A concept which is not so famous in Web3, and I think it's definitely undervalued, is the concept of forking. Forking in software is about I fork a piece of software, I have a copy, and I can adapt it, and I don't need permission from the main author. So I can basically have a different vision and adapt the tool in my way. Forking in blockchain is not about the software, it's also about the community and the funds, etc. And the main concept we want is to be able to fail at every part of the project. We made an organization where actually if a small part fails, we can just try to fix this small part without changing everything. But actually, if you look at all the bricks in the big picture, each component can fail and the whole thing can fail. And if things fail, so the dystopia, I don't know, the blockchain is full of evil contributors. So the ones with voting power definitely just want money and won't care about the rest of the humanity. If this happens, we can just fork and create a new community and enforce the way we want to scale the contributors. So forking is about, okay, for this network, we failed. Take it, guys. It's okay. It's for you. But we have a vision which is more for 100 years. And it's not about short-term profit. It's definitely about long-term security. Dystopia is we fail something. It can be a security issue. It can be the DAO, so the group of contributors to be evil or to be too much financial driven. If it happens, we create a new community until it works. We can try again and again. So the dystopia becomes isolated. That's the way we're seeing the project.
I wish all the interviewees that we are going to have a positive answer about dystopia like you have. We'll see along the way. So do you have a question to actually pass to the next interviewee? You don't know who the interviewee is going to be, so that's actually kind of fun.
What would you do if you can travel back to, I don't know, the birth of the internet? Would you change something, and what?
Very nice question. And our last question before we wrap it up, would you join us if we create a DAO of its podcast?
Sure.
Thank you.